All right, everybody, our friends at the University of Guam Theatre, and there are many, we love the performing arts here on this show. They are proudly presenting an upcoming production of, okay, just sit tight, right? An Illiad. I know most of you think I just made like a typo, but no, it's An Illiad. It's a contemporary retelling of the Homeric epic tale of a war wrought by gods and men for the sake of love, honor, and revenge. Total drama. This could be a total Chamorro play, but joining me right now is the director as well as a performer who, by the way, was memorizing lines out in the lobby, never stopped working. All the world's a stage. Madison Scott, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Okay. I want to put this in the context of maybe young people, right? Because we love the classics. The Iliad, I read it 3 times. I even read the abridged version. Fantastic, fantastic story. One of my favorites of all time. Most people would know because Netflix has Troy right now. So that's their exposure to the Iliad. But the Iliad is this unbelievable tale of battle, of virtue, of a way that that wars were wrought back then when this isn't guerrilla warfare. I mean, there was a certain type of decor. But I'm interested in how An Illiad kind of plays into this.
Yeah, so the reason that the playwrights, Lisa Peterson and Dennis O'Hare, have chosen to name it An Illiad rather than The Iliad is that it's a play, not an epic poem, right? So fitting in, like if you look at the Illiad, the book, right, it's this thick. So trying to make a play that covered all the events of that thick poem, like there's no way.
The Cliff Notes version is pretty thick too.
Yeah. So this is like a 90-page version. And so it's An Illiad because it's really just a window in. And it's this poet who chooses on this night to tell the story with a focus on Hector and Achilles and their sort of inevitable clash of wills.
Again, for those of you who watched the movie, this is the part with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana going back and forth.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So the other element of this is that it's not, the poet is a character, right? The storyteller who is choosing to tell the story kind of has their own story.
Is this not Odysseus this time?
No. So An Iliad precedes the Odyssey, right? Which is the story of Odysseus going back. And so the poet character, who's the person on stage, the person I'm playing, talking to the audience about Hector and Achilles, the idea is that this person was at the Trojan War. Like she was there, she saw everything, she knew these people, and that she has been or has imagined she's been at every human conflict since and has known soldiers and befriended them and lost them and sort of seen this pattern happen for like thousands and thousands of years.
And clearly this is a female poet like playing this, not Helen of Troy, right?
No. Okay. So the poet was written to be played, I think, by anybody, but is referred to as a man in the script. And Dennis O'Hare originated the role. But they make it very clear, the authors in the sort of introduction, that the poet could be anybody, man, woman, young, old, like really anybody, because it's oral storytelling. Like everybody does that. And everybody,
so it is agnostic.
Yeah, like everybody has a perspective on war. Everybody has a connection to loss, right? Like that storyteller could be anybody. So in this production, it's me. But it could be you, it could be anybody.
Oh, very nice. Well, and the only reason I asked, and I think it's fantastic that you are not only the director, but you're also taking it upon yourself to kind of like guide the flow of the story, is you're probably going to like wring my neck for this, but I remember what Stephanie Meyer, who famously wrote the Twilight books, did, is she basically rewrote the books from a perspective like opposite. Like it was from Edward's perspective rather than from Bella the first time. So like in terms of background and gender perception and everything like that, it completely changed the story and it was totally cool.
Yeah, and I in some ways this project has made me really want to write my own version because I'm doing the script written by these people, and as much as it is me on stage, a woman telling the story, I feel like it is written for a man, and the things that are said and the things that are focused on are things that like men would be maybe more likely to focus on. Not to put too much of a binary on it, but like it does feel that way to me.
Sure.
They acknowledge, the authors in the introduction at some point, like they had to leave things out. It's such a long story. So Cassandra is not really in there. Helen of Troy is kind of a caricature, right? So
oh no, because I was going to say this is a very, very macho story because you're dealing with these big themes, but the central character is of course Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships.
And she's just not in this story. Yeah, and I mean she has like a couple lines, but it's really a focus on the people fighting who were men. But I find the voices of the women who are included, which is primarily Andromache, Hector's wife, and Hecuba, his mother, I connect with them so deeply because they're the voices that line up with my values, right? And with many people's values, regardless of gender, in terms of what if you don't go to war? What if you just stayed here with your family and put your focus there? And like, what if you just didn't fight this war?
Right. And forgive me for phrasing it this way, but like as I remember reading the Iliad, it was like, all right, the dudes want to be remembered throughout history for committing acts of valor and being brave and representing their country. It was the women in the epic story who were the voices of reason.
Yeah, so like originally Cassandra, Hector's sister, is the priestess who can see the future, right? And she predicts everything, and she's like, don't do this, and everyone still does all the things. So yeah, it's quite bittersweet, but the play is also so good at not, I think, boxing any of these characters into something smaller, like reducing them down. It does a beautiful job exploring like human nature is created in so much complexity, and we are both warlike. We have this like impulse to rage and be violent and like act out. Like that is something that everyone knows what it feels like to be furious. And that's what so many of these characters experience. And then they also experience moments where they think, oh my gosh, but what if I didn't? What if I forgave? What if I chose to not act on that impulse? And exploring that tension is like really the crux of the play. And I think what the poet wants by telling the story is to look at the audience and say, like, we can change. Like, we have our nature, and we are in some ways in control of our nature. There's a tension there.
No, very, very cool. There's so much you can get from this, even if you're like my mom, like a lifelong literature professor who's probably memorized the Iliad backwards and everything like that, but she can find brand new perspective in this and new value.
Yes, I think so. I think it's a really unique like take on it. Yeah.
Okay, so would we know anybody else who's in the cast besides yourself, of course?
Maybe. So I'm the only person who speaks. So it's really one actor telling the story and playing all the characters. But a wonderful musician, Shannon Dean Nicholas, is on stage with me as the muse, and he's playing the violin. So he sort of appears as the muse to help the poet tell the story, and then the sound he provides really just rounds out the worlds of the war. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we kind of buried the lead on that. If you are the only speaking part, and most of it like revolves around you as the storyteller.
Yeah.
Would this be considered a one-person play?
Yes, I think so. But because I'm the only one who talks, right? But there is someone else playing the music, and he's
now
just
I know why you were memorizing your lines in the lobby. That's a lot of lines.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, how long is this play?
It's around 90 pages, so it'll run about an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes with no intermission.
Wow. Okay, and everybody, please check out Madison's website. It's wonderfully designed and everything. It actually shows her commitment to the craft and your body of work, which is phenomenal.
Thank you.
In doing stagecraft, like acting, directing now. This is your second directing project for UOG. I had you on like several months ago where you were talking about that. So what makes this role so challenging? Obviously, you're the only one.
Yeah, it's a play that I've been familiar with for about a decade, and I've always wanted to do it. I thought I would have to wait a lot longer, but one of the amazing things about Guam is that pretty much if you are creative and you want to do something, you can do it, and people will sort of rally and support you. So, yeah, getting to do this is special and challenging because not only is it very long, but there's so many layers, because as the actor, you jump inside of Hector and Achilles and Andromache and all of these huge, larger than life people, and you need to really find their humanity and like what they're doing in that moment as a human. So there's that, but then there's also this layer of the poet trying to remember what happened and trying not to get caught up in her own like grief, basically, of thousands of years of witnessing things like this. And so, yeah, the levels of play there are just like, it's kind of like an actor's dream, and it's like the hardest acting workout I've ever done. It just is so demanding.
Well, go big or go home,
Yeah.
Okay, and I just realized, if you're director and performer, you're basically directing yourself.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, I don't know that I would do that the same way again. I'm so lucky that Troy McVeigh has been like assisting, and he'll come in once a week and offer ideas, because I can't see myself. So like, is the space being used effectively? Is that moment working there? So he's been really wonderful. And Shannon as well is in the room, and he can offer ideas, and stage manager Jeff Morales is there, and he can offer ideas. So it's been kind of a team effort, and that feels very true to the roots of theater, much like oral storytelling and epic poems do, that it's not one person's vision. It's a group coming together to tell a very classic tale.
Well, I have seen a one-person performance of Death of a Salesman, and one person actually performed Willie Lomax and did like the whole thing. And he said afterwards, like I had a chance, I pulled him aside and I was like, how was that? He goes, this is the best work I've ever done. He goes, it was so rewarding to be able to, you know, not for narcissistic reasons, but just to be able to tell that story and have me channel the whole story. Really, really phenomenal challenge.
Wow. Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, and I'll get his Instagram profile for
Yeah,
you and
please
everything.
do.
Yeah, I'll find it. Okay, so where can people find tickets? Because this is going to be a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, so, okay, tickets are only at the door. It's cash only. So it's $10 for general admission, $20 for
And
families.
there she is.
Oh, yeah, that's me. $20 for families with a limit for 2 adults, and then UOG and Guam Community College students get in free.
Very nice.
But yeah, no like buying online. You just got to show up with your $10 bill and.
Okay, now I must ask this because I went to public school, right? Is the dialogue in this play, can it be consumed, you know, by younger audiences, and is it family friendly? Would you consider that? Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, you know, like if we're sitting there, will we kind of, you know, have to kind of take it in?
Well, I'm really glad you asked this. I really strongly believe that, like, you know, theater should be so accessible for whoever wants it. And
Totally
that
agree.
for me includes young children. I will say that this play, there is no intermission. That's tough for young kids. There is some strong language, like a few instances of cursing. And there are certainly adult themes. It's a lot of death. So I don't think it's really appropriate or interesting to children under 13. Parents can kind of make that choice for themselves if they've got a really just like into the classics 10-year-old or
Well,
something.
kids that are 8 years old these days, they're watching Game of Thrones, so, you know.
Yeah. So my recommendation would be 13 and up, but, you know, people can make their own choice. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, Madison, break a leg. Well, not literally, because there's only you. You literally are the play and everything. But this is an unbelievable work of creativity, of expression, of art, and we wish you the very best. I can't wait to see you. This is going to be incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also want to mention that we've got auditions coming up that are open to the community for the fall musical I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. So those auditions are September 26th to the 28th. You can find out more info on our Instagram, UOG Theatre. And you don't need to prepare anything. Just come and bring yourself, and we'll give you stuff to do.
Okay, well, I do want to let you go because, I mean, you know, you have to prepare, and obviously you've got lines to memorize. So thank you so much for your time. This is incredible. We wish you the best. All right, sit tight, everybody. There is much more show when we return.